All right, this time around on Author's Corner, the name of the novel is Growing in the Gray. Christian Cook is the author, and she's in our virtual green room. She joins us now on America Tonight with me, Kate Delaney. Christian, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Kate, for having me.
So we had a great off-air conversation about your main character and the book, and really the reason why you wrote the book, how you approached it. Tell the listeners, what was it that motivated you to write this novel?
There were so many different motivating factors, actually, when I took the time to write Growing in the Gray. One of the major factors definitely was my art school experiences while I was at Columbia College Chicago, while I was on the strive of being a PR professional. But in the book specifically, Krista Clark, she does go to art school, but she is trying to break in the industry and become an art curator. She is confused, doesn't really know the right steps. And that's how I felt as an incoming college freshman. I'm like, I was always worried, was I doing the right things? I was always worried about, was I making the right connections? But I also wanted to have a thriving social scene. So you see her trying to balance coming to a new city for the first time, trying to make friends. Does she want to get involved with dating as she's never done that before? Coming into her own, and what does that look like was for someone who is more timid, shy, and lives in her head. And I wanted to write about a character who has a lot of internal struggles and how you kind of see how that plays out externally in her life.
Yeah, and I love the title of the book, Growing in the Gray. So everything isn't black and white, is it? And that's part of the point of the book.
Exactly. Where I feel like there aren't that many bodies of work that heavily hark on the decision making processes with like our internal beings, because we are people and we think all day. We have thoughts constantly running throughout our minds. And I wanted to paint that in a very vivid way with a character where she has these racing thoughts and she is pretty much trying to grasp on to what she can every single day throughout her daily life decisions, her bigger life decisions, whether that was work, with school, with her family drama, as she is trying to fight against her family norms. She doesn't want to be in the truck driving business. She's trying to explain to her family that this move, this school, this is the right place for me to be. And you see also some of the supporting characters going through similar things, even though they do have like alternate personalities to Krista Clark, the main character.
We're speaking with Christian Cook, the name of the book, Growing in the Gray. For you, writing it, what was it like? What was the process like? You've mentioned Krista Clark, the main character. Did that just kind of pour out of you? How did that all happen? What's the process like?
Writing this book was a lot of fun for me because this is my second book that I've written. My first book, I Hate Gray, was more of personal essays with a little bit of a creative twist. But with going back and me writing Growing in the Gray specifically, I had more fun with this one because I wasn't struggling with self censorship this time. I felt more bold and comfortable to explore maybe more risque topics and include dialogue that was more fresh, more fun, pushed a little buttons where you see these teenage girls and some of them in their early 20s really just go after what they want in contemporary society. What does that look like? What are the new pressures? I struggled a lot with internal pressure, like me putting pressure on myself. And with this book, I lifted those pressures and I felt more confident coming this time around because I'd written a book before. I took a lot of more time to kind of outline this one and really think about what it is I wanted to say, the major themes that I wanted to flesh out and make very clear to readers. And I know with art in general, anyone can interpret what they want from different meanings, but I sat down, I wrote a body of work that it was very clear about this is the voice, these are the overarching themes, And these are the things I would love for people to take away from reading it, while also finding some joy, some laughter, and some humor, because they are teenage girls making mistakes along their way in their path. And it can be kind of funny sometimes when you're going through your own memory bank of journeys. Like, why would I do something like that? It's because you're young. That's the answer.
Yeah, because you're young. And it's interesting too, the themes. And I think about this. You struggle with your family and what's going on with your family. And Krista Clark has to deal with that because of the economic situation with her family, right?
Exactly. So this could be the worst time that her family is struggling financially is when you start college, because that's when you need the money flowing. So she is stuck in the beginning. We get this character. She goes home for the summer. That's pretty much where the book starts. After her freshman year of college, a few weeks into summer, she gets mail from her school saying if you don't pay this specific balance before the fall semester, you won't be able to return. And this is terrible for Krista because now she's living in her parents' basement as they had to downsize their home. She's like, I don't want to be in this dusty basement. I have to figure out how to get back to my life in Chicago and really make my dreams come true. So that is one of the major problems you get hit with right away. And we're trying to figure out, how is she going to navigate this? Is she going to make it back to school? Is she going to be on the track of becoming the art curator that she wants to be? How does this girl really start going when the going gets tough?
Yeah. Another interesting theme, and because you talk about this, like being able to really have some fresh dialogue, and you think of a young woman in these age groups that you're talking about, and then navigating men, boys, and figuring that all out, and that's also a chunk of it.
That's also a chunk that I included in the book specifically because I wanted to show what dating is like for teenagers now, and a very vivid way, not overly sensationalized, but more of a realistic point of view. And dating is one of those topics that I feel like is always going to be popular because everyone loves a good love story, or a story that it's not exactly a love story, but could be. And we see that with these two characters where it's very clear and evident that they do have some type of feelings for each other. But Krista doesn't want to get involved with him because she knows he's a player pretty much. And she's like, I don't really want to deal with this, but I do like you. Should we stay friends? Even though we're not really friends because we both have confirmed that we like each other. And where do you go from there when you're in a situation like that? You could either just go for it, which she doesn't do because she's not brave enough to do that yet. Like I said, this is more of a timid character, but she doesn't necessarily want to like let him go out of her life because she feels for him to some capacity. So battling with that not being a black or white situation, she falls in the in between of that category in life too.
Yeah. And we'll say this again, growing up in the gray, any of Christian Cook's books, you of course get on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. What about a sequel?
Growing in the Grays sequel is actually in the works right now. I'm having even more fun, I think, writing this one. I'm exercising more of my comedic writing skills. We have some new characters with this one. And we also see, because at the end of Growing in the Gray, Krista Clark has finally come to a unanimous decision to treat her sophomore year completely different than her freshman year. She literally has like this checklist that she's going to pretty much go by. And we'll see how that checklist navigates her sophomore year with new characters, becoming a more bolder version of herself as she would like to be. And what does a character that goes from living in her head to living out loud look like? So we're going to see more of that in the next one.
Ooh, I like that. So you mentioned this briefly, but it's worth repeating here toward the end because I think this is so important for you as the novelist, as the author, the writer. What do you hope the takeaways are for anyone who reads this book or any of your works?
One of the things that I want people to take away from this book is how important self evaluation and self reflection is. And in this book, you see Krista Clark spending a good chunk of her time alone. And I want to take away this negative connotation or negative outlook that people have on being a lone wolf to some extent. Some of your best life decisions will come from your internal compass. It's always great to have resources and people around you, but you should get to know yourself enough to that being the fuel that you need to make some of your hardest life choices. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to live with all of them, not every single outside source around you. So take some time to spend time with yourself to carve out. That's where she figures out how to carve out the life she wants.
Yeah, by focusing on sort of the quiet time, quieting your head, so to speak.
Exactly. You see her taking time to herself, going on these walks, incorporating prayer, incorporating almost like the many voices she's playing with. She's playing with her family's voices, what they want her to do. She's playing with like the expectations of all, like the faculty of the school. And she's like, okay, I'm taking all these things, but what is it do I want? And what's going to be my guiding force to get me there? So you see her exercise her faith, exercise, and that helps her pretty much try to remove being so locked away to herself.
Oh, perfect place to end this. Yeah.
Exactly.
Pick this up. You got to figure this book out. You got to get it, and you will be so entertained. Christian, thank you so much, Christian Cook, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Visit www.greatwritersmedia.com. Email us at info@greatwritersmedia.com. Call us at 877-600-5469. Subscribe now.